A very good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of KSI Morning Brief. To begin with global markets. In March 2020, the S&P Global Broad Market Index declined 14.3%, marking its third worst month over the past 25 years. Meanwhile, some sectors within the index recorded significant outperformances compared with the broader market. The S&P Global BMI Healthcare, S&P Global BMI Consumer Staples, and S&P Global BMI Utilities surpassed the benchmark by 9.9%, 8.9%, and 2.4% respectively. Since December 31st, 1994, the global equity market has experienced four severe downturns when the S&P Global BMI declined 20% or more. However, three sectors, consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities, stayed the positive territories during all the drawdowns. More news on US markets. Just like back in 2008, the Federal Reserves have pumped record amounts of cash into the financial system this year to stave off the economic collapse. But unlike in 2008, when that money mostly piled up in the bank accounts at the Fed, the funds are pouring into Americans' checking accounts. In the 3 months through May, the most liquid portion of the money supply as measured by a gauge known as M1 surged 26%. That is triple the jump posted in the corresponding 3 months period in 2008, and it is more than any full year increase recorded in the 6 decades that the officials have been tracking the data. The inflation debate is returning to markets flush with cash. Perhaps the most challenging riddle for investors in the pandemic is whether another centuries-old scourge is going to return. Inflation can wreck even the safest portfolio by eroding the value of investments for decades. The last major episode was back in the 1970s and 1980s, and inflation has all but disappeared since the 2008 financial crisis. The mainstream view is that central banks can rescue the economies now without destabilizing prices in the future. Bonds, the assets most vulnerable to inflation, have surged in the break-even rate, which gauges market expectations for future prices, languishes below central bank targets across developed markets. The euro area inflation is expected to reach the European Central Bank's close to 2% target for 30 years. Now let's look at other global news. After announcing late last week that it is ending its fight to stay listed on Nasdaq, China-based coffee chain and delivery company Luckin Coffee announced in a filing with the SEC that it is requiring that its chairman resign. Luckin Coffee's board initiates investigation into a $300 million potential fraud. Luckin is currently trading down 54% at close this Friday and is worth barely a few $100 million, down from its peak market capitalization over $12 billion. Coca-Cola will suspend advertising on social media globally for at least 30 days as pressure builds on platforms to crack down on hate speech. The organizations of the Stop Hate Profit campaign, which accuses Facebook of not doing enough to stop hate speech and disinformation, said the small number of small changes would not make a dent in the problem. More than 90 multinational companies have paused advertising in support of Stop Hate for Profit campaign. As a result of the boycott, shares in Facebook fell 8.3% on Friday. Now looking at the latest updates on COVID-19. Total cases around the world has gone past 10 million, with daily cases around 100,000 have been reported. Total recoveries are around 5.5 million, with 500,000 deaths have been reported. Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, total cases have gone past 2,000, with 4 cases were reported during the last 24 hours. Total recoveries are around 1,600, with 11 deaths reported up to now. Chinese company unveils positive results for COVID-19 vaccines. An Institute of Biological Products in Beijing affiliated with the China National Pharmaceutical Group had achieved positive results for a COVID-19 vaccine candidate it developed. The Beijing Institute said that 1,120 volunteers in the first and second phase clinical trials successfully produced high titer antibodies against COVID-19 after accepting 2 doses of the vaccine. The Brazil signs agreements to produce AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Brazil has signed a $127 million agreement to start producing locally an experimental vaccine developed by AstraZeneca. According to WHO, AstraZeneca's vaccine is considered the world's leading candidate and most advanced in terms of development to obtain licensure and become an official vaccine against the disease. So that's it from KSI Morning Brief. Today we'll be joining you again tomorrow morning. Thank you.